You're listening to the 188th edition of the Bitachon podcast. We're continuing in the pesukim in chapter 71, verses 5 and 6 of Tehillim. Ki ata tikvasi Hashem Elokim mivtachim inurai. You are my hope, Hashem my God. You are the one I trusted in from my youth. Alecha nesmachni mibeten. Upon you I depended from when I was inside of the womb. Mime'ei imi, from the innards of my mother. Ata goizi, you took me out. V'chati lasi tamed. In you is my praise constantly. So we studied a number of Mefarshim last week. We're going to see the second part of this. Radak says, Mina urai klaimar, mina urai hikarti v'yadati. From my youth, I recognized that I knew. Ki ata akel, that you are God. We know it naturally. We know it intuitively. Hashem is our God. Dovid Hamelech was somebody just looking up. My daughter mentioned to me the name of Dovid Hamelech's mother, which is not well known. Her name was Nitzeves Bas Adoel. And it's a whole story of how Dovid Hamelech was rejected. His father felt like he didn't have the right thoughts when David was conceived. And so instead of David feeling a dependency upon his parents, he felt imi avi v'imi azavuni, like he says in LeDavid that we say during Elul. He felt like his parents had left him. Hashem Yasveini. He didn't have the emotional support of his parents, but he felt like he had Hashem's support. That's how he developed into the amazing human being, Dovid Hamelech, the great-great-grandfather of Mashiach. From his youth, from his very youngest days, despite the challenges, despite the feelings of being abandoned, he wasn't abandoned. He didn't feel abandoned. He felt that Hashem was with him. V'savti miftachi b'cha, the Radak says, I place my trust in you. It's very interesting. Today, living in a godless world, in the West, an atheistic world. So we have all these therapists to fix our problems, all of our traumas, and it's legitimate. But at the same time, Dovid Hamelech tells us that he was also traumatized from his youth. He also went through challenges and difficulties, but he used it as an opportunity to place his trust in Hashem. Says the Malbim, Ki ata tikvasi Hashem al ha'asid v'gam t'tachim min orai ba'avar. You're the one who I trust in the future, and you are the one who I trusted in the past. I know, as the Malbim understands it, I know that my trust in you in the future is going to happen because I know that my trust in you worked in the past. I can see, I can look at, I can put my finger on all the times I believed in you and it worked. Rav Roman Aromuch says, Alecha nesmachti mibeten, ein tzarich lemesh ata mivtachi min uroi. What's the lemesh shmirasi? I trusted in you from when I was inside of the womb. I don't need to, it goes without saying that you were the one who I could trust when I was a youth. When a person is young, his systems are not yet built up, his immune system, but Hashem helps him. Hashem helped me. But even from before that, there was a certain faith that was there already from the start. What does that mean? When I was inside of my mother's womb, those who gave birth to me already trusted. Nitzevet, his mother, Yishai, his father. They knew that Hashem is going to bring this child into the world. Let's understand. They already had 7 kids, 7 boys. David was the 8th, if I'm not mistaken, or he was the 7th. I'm pretty sure he was the 8th. They had so many kids. They're going to bring another child into the world. And yet, they didn't think like modern people who are worried, how will I provide for my child? They thought, Hashem will provide for my child. Hashem will provide for this child. That's how I came into the world, with a certain faith. And that's the faith of Jews everywhere today, having many children. Not like the Western world who says, how will I provide for my child, even though they have so much money. He brings here from the Maggid Miduvna. Maggid Miduvna, Kasav Kein Zeh Metek L'Shoynai, Ve'elu Dvorav. Ha-nivra ha-mechudash kasher yizmainen al etzem etziyusai, shalem yidaitem v'kashasai. When a person thinks about their creation, I didn't choose to be born. I didn't choose to come into this world. I don't regret it. I'm glad I'm here. Ki michesed habayre betuva yimamtzi betziyus ha-nivraim. Hashem brings us into this world because He is a Baal Chesed. He wants us to do kindness to us. So that we should recognize His kindness. His never-ending kindness. So a person should trust in Hashem like this. I'm so worried. How am I going to make it? How am I going to pay my bills? Or on the flip side, I'm so sure of myself that I'm going to figure it out. Before I came into existence, I didn't know I was going to come into existence. I wasn't part of that choice. And I'm going to come into the world something from nothing. A person should withstand the temptation, hold himself back. You're worried about how you're going to continue to exist, how you're going to pay your bills, how you're going to put food on the table. What a shtus! What a foolishness! Hashem brought me into existence. Hashem did that kindness. He's going to continue to provide for me. With no doubt, the one who brought me into existence is going to continue to provide me, to sustain me. Back in the Rav Avram and Ramuch, he says, I felt dependent. I felt that I could depend on Hashem, even from when I was inside of my mother's womb. It's nature. Hashem imbued in nature that a baby, a fetus inside of its mother, is supported. It has all of its needs. And when that time is finished, when the time is complete, you take me out of my mother's womb. Hashem prepares every single step of our lives. Hashem prepares every single stage. When we're inside of our mother's womb, completely surrounded, completely enveloped in love and warmth. And our needs are met without even trying, without doing anything, without even opening our mouth to eat. But then it comes time for the next stage, and Hashem pushes us out into the world, so that we have to start to realize that, hey, it's not so pashut. You got to depend on Him. Besides, for the kindnesses that were mentioned, I pray constantly for the kindnesses that you do for me every single moment in every single season. So I recognize that you, Hashem, are taking care of me. But I don't just leave it to that. I also need to be mispal. I need to pray. I need to put in my hishtadlus, so to speak, in prayer, in requesting the things that I need right now in this particular circumstance that I find myself. Says the Chavis Halavavis. Chavis Halavavis minus Shiva Tanayim Kedei Liftach Memandahu. Chavis Halavavis is enumerating 7 conditions that are required in order for somebody to depend on somebody else. He explains that the only one who can fulfill all 7 conditions properly is only Hashem himself. It's a fact that Hashem is involved in my life from the very beginning, from when I start to grow. Before I even remember, I don't even remember myself at that age. I don't remember being a kid, a little baby. I don't remember anything, but Hashem is there from the beginning. Hashem has a purview. He sees my whole life. He sees everything that I need from the very first moment until the very last moment. Shenemar, Halahu avicha kanecha, hu oscha v'chaynuneka. Hashem is your father. Hashem is the one who acquired you. He owns you. You are His. He made you, and He established everything for you. Everything that you need is ready. It's just waiting for you to come into the garden and pick off the fruits. And that's what it says in our pasuk. I trusted in you from the very first moment. I know that I was dependent, yes, dependent on you, Hashem, all the way back from the beginning. Now he brings some of the Chassid Yavitz. K'may she'amar zechar levracha, hatzadikim tchilas yisur v'sever shalva. I believe we've seen this idea before, but it's important to repeat, it's important to think about, it's important to review. Righteous individuals, their lives start off with challenges and difficulties, and their lives end off with serenity. Let me consider Yad Khalila. It doesn't mean that Hashem is unable, it's like not within His power to give a person a life of serenity from the beginning. Heaven forbid. Hashem can save a person, can take care of a person from the very beginning until he's old. Forever. The concept is that if Hashem would give that state of serenity from the beginning, so it's very easy, the human being, when things are good, when everything is smooth, when everything runs smoothly, when life is easy. So it's easy to fall off the path. It's easy to end up out of a relationship with Hashem. A person who has challenges, a person who has difficulties, it's natural. You call out, Hashem, help me. Hashem, save me. Hashem, take care of me. And the opposite, if a person seems to have everything, I have everything. Thanks, God, it's all right. I found the parking spot. You don't need to help me here. When a person has reached a level of tzidkus, of righteousness, where the person is not easily swayed from that goodness, he's not going to, by having a life of serenity, it's not going to push him off the path. Then Hashem makes sure that the person gets all of their needs. So it comes out that the beginning stage, naturally, always, this is a natural part of life. It's the rain, it's the summer, it's the start of the winter. The dark comes before the dawn. But there's a chanina, there's a grace in starting with difficulties and challenges. Because we turn to Hashem. In a certain way, the difficulty is actually greater. A person sometimes feels more connection, more closeness to Hashem in the challenge than the person feels in the state of serenity. Pasuk says, until Kuf Yates, Pasuk Ayin Aleph, it was good for me, says Dovid Hamelech, that I had to endure difficulties. Like we said at the beginning, Dovid Hamelech's parents, they cast him away. He felt rejected. But the result was that he came close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He felt connected to Hashem. So Hashem did an incredible kindness to David. He brings it. Hashem created a situation that he would be the most hated of all the sons of Yishai. As a result of their hatred for him. He's the reject. He's the child who the father had the wrong thoughts about when he was conceived. He's the rejected child. Let him be a shepherd. Shmuel came to choose a child of Yishai to be the king. He brings out the first son, Eliav. Very handsome, very tall, very austere. That's not the one Hashem chose. Brings out the next child, the next one. They didn't even think that David is the one. David is the loser. After seeing the first 7 kids, he says, Yishai, you have to have another child because these 7 are not it. And then, when Shmuel chooses David, all of a sudden, retroactively becomes clear what a mistake they made. David shouldn't have been rejected. Eved ma'asu abonim. Hoysa l'resh pina. The stone that was rejected by the builders became the foundation stone, the cornerstone. So King David would trust exclusively in God. Excuse me. Because if he would have had a bit, even a little bit of trust in his own father, he wouldn't have completely developed his bitachon in Hashem. That's why Dovid Hamelech said, King David said, I trusted in you. You were my hope. I can hope in you for the future. Why? Because I've been trusting in you. I've been working on myself. I've been developing my relationship with you until now. From my very youth. Because he was rejected by his father. Like it says about the story with Yishai and his wife, that he had the wrong thoughts. And it's very encouraging. It's very encouraging. Because sometimes we feel rejected. Sometimes we feel disappointed. Sometimes we feel like we tried so hard. It's not working. It's not going the way we want it to go. And it still didn't go the way he wanted it to go. He had his bitachon. He believed in HaKadosh Baruch Hu until that moment of turnaround. Think of Yosef HaTzadik, this week's Parsha. Until that moment of turnaround, he's still having bitachon for 12 years. He's sitting in jail. He has bitachon. And it's not working. And then snap. Everything falls into place. And all the bitachon that he developed over the 12 years where it felt like it wasn't working. And for David, according to one opinion, he was 28 years old when he was chosen. All that time, he developed into the person that he was. He didn't give up. He didn't give up. We can learn from this. We can learn from this. Let's keep on. Let's keep on. Working on. Strengthening. Becoming greater Bali Bitachon together. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you again next time.